Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb and welcome to Distance Cipher. This is the way the module looks. What we have here is we have three different triangles present, as well as one that's pointing down, three upward triangles, one down. And what we have here is we're going to have a keyword we're going to have a keyword in the bottom display, our encrypted message in the top display, as well as a key letter and a key number here on the right side. So, that's what we're going to be doing with this thing. We're going to go through three different steps. It's basically two and setting up the triangle. There's two bits after creating the triangle that you'll do, and they're all fairly simple. This module itself is actually quite simple to do. It's this first step with making the key triangle that can be a little bit tricky, as well as making sure that you don't mess up on the Caesarian rule switching cipher. So let's get right into this and let's see exactly what we need to do to solve this module. So within this module, we're going to be creating a 7x7 equilateral triangle with one of its vertices facing south. So in this case, we're going to make it look something similar to this, as you can see in this example. And what we're going to essentially do with it is we're going to place the first letter of the keyword, which in this case is sprayed, up at the top here, and in the first cell in reading order of this triangle. Simple enough. Let's get that going. So Sierra is in the top left right now. And now, for each subsequent letter in the keyword, if it has been used, find the closest unused letter with wraparound so the distance between A and Z is the same as A and B, that being 1, and place it in the next unfilled cell of the triangle. So in this case, this is for when we get into duplicate words, which actually we don't have any of them in this word itself. We have Sierra, we've got Papa, we've got Romeo, we've got Alpha, we have Yankee, we have Echo, we have Delta. But say if we had some sort of, say if we had a duplicate word. So for example, let's say if it was instead of sprayed, it was sprayer, for example. Who is the sprayer? Which is a very weird word to have to work with here, but I'm going to have to work with it anyways. So say we had to essentially have a duplicate word. In this case, we had Romeo. What would happen here is what we would do is I'm just going to type out the alphabet for the sake of typing it out, because later on you're definitely going to want to compare distances for when we have to get into some stuff, because there's a very important rule that goes with this. X, Y, Z. So we've got Romeo here, and what we have here is the closest unused letter, in this case, is what we're going to be switching this to. So from this position, Romeo, we're currently using a Sierra in the first position, and we have not used Quebec, so this would instead be replaced with Quebec. And what would happen in this case if there happens to be cases where they are the exact same distance, which I think this node should be higher, if a previously used letter is encountered and the two nearest unused letters have the same distance to the used letter, take the unused letter that would be reached by going backwards in the alphabet, wrapping from A to Z. So in this case, if we happen to have, if this Sierra did not exist and we happen to be having a duplicate of Romeo, we would still take Quebec because of the fact that it is indeed, for example, if it was the word prayer, this Romeo would still be replaced by Quebec even if Sierra is still unused. We're replacing it with the one that is the furthest back, in this case, the Quebec. However, this is not the case. This is just simply explaining you how this actually works, and this will be used throughout the module, especially on the second little bits, but I'm just explaining how this works so that you get an idea of exactly what we're heading into. But in this case, we're looking at sprayed, not prayer, not sprayer, and so on and so forth. So now, what exactly do we do from this point? So we have our first row filled out. We've used our entire keyword. Now what happens? Then for each subsequent cell, consider the absolute difference between the two alphabetical positions of the two cells immediately above. So in this case, what we have here is we've got Sierra and Papa. And for the next row, because we have to go through a 7x7, so in the next row we're going to go down, we're going to consider the distance between Sierra and Papa. And we're going to do this kind of just an absolute value sort of thing. I'm going to pop out handy dandy calculator here. I'm going to change it from scientific mode back to just normal mode, since we do not need all of this fancy stuff. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the alphabetical positional difference here. So 19, which is the Sierra, minus the 16, is going to be a difference of 3. Now 3 corresponds to Charlie, and Charlie has not been placed yet in this entire sequence. So we can therefore place Charlie in that position. Next up, we've got a Papa and Romeo. That's going to be an 18 minus a 16 is going to be equal to 2. Bravo has not been placed yet, so Bravo can go there because that corresponds to 2. Okay. We have a difference of Romeo and Alpha. 18 minus the 1 is going to be 17. Quebec has not been placed yet, so in this case, 17 is going to be equal to Quebec. Quebec can go right there. Next up, we've got Alpha and Yankee. 25 minus 1 is going to be a 24. X-ray has not been placed yet, so we can place that there. No problemo. 25, which is the Yankee, minus the 5, which is the Echo, gives us a total of 20, which is a Tango. Tango is going to be able to go there. It has not appeared yet. And now, here's where we get to an interesting example here. Delta minus Echo, or Echo minus Delta in this case. I need to get rid of Discord. Let's take a look. So, with this in mind, we currently have 5 minus 4, which is equal to 1. Now, here's where we run into this case. Now, we're going to run into issues here because we've already placed alpha, and as you can see, there's 2 alphas present here. Now, here's where we get involved into this. And one of the things that we can immediately do here is remember that it loops around back to the other side. So in this case, alpha is going to end up looping back around to Zulu because Zulu is currently unplaced, and also it's because it's the closest direction that is an unused letter. Because we've already placed Bravo, and we've already placed Charlie, and we've already placed Delta and Echo. So there's going to be nothing up until a Foxtrot for the other direction. So it's much easier to go back one space, and in this case, use Zulu here. And now we're essentially going to do this until we place 25 out of 26 letters. And then what's going to happen here is we're going to place 2 hashes when we get to the second to last row, and then place the missing letter down at the bottom. Fairly simple. So let's continue on. Let's do the exact same thing. Charlie and Bravo has a difference of 1, which is an alpha. We're going to do the exact same case. Bravo and Charlie have been used. Delta's been used. Echo's been used. Foxtrot has not been used. That is a distance of 5. And let's take a look. In the other directions, we've used Zulu, we've used Yankee, we have used X-ray, but we have not used Whiskey, so Whiskey is going to be our letter here. Because of the fact that it is closer, and it's actually backwards too, so that's going to be important. Next up, we have Quebec, 17, minus the 2, which is Bravo. We have not used Oscar, so Oscar can go there perfectly fine. 24 for the X-ray, minus the 17, which is a 7. We have not used Golf. Golf can go there. 24 minus the 20, which is a 4. Delta has been used. Now, here's where we have to take a look. So Delta, the closest letter on the right is Foxtrot. The closest unused letter on the right is Foxtrot. And we can already tell that it's going to be a long distance away over to the Victor from where if we were to go left. So in this case, Foxtrot is going to be our letter that we use here. And next up, we've got Tango and Zulu and Tango. 26 minus the 20 is going to be a 6. Foxtrot is going to be the letter that we get. We just used it. However, so now let's go to the closest letter. In this case, the closest one is going to be Hotel. We have not used Hotel yet, and this would work for us because it's going to be going right to left is obviously more than 2, so Hotel is going to be the letter here. Let's continue on. 23 minus the 15 is going to be 8. We just used Hotel. We have not used India. India is the closest one that we have not used. 15 minus 7 is going to be an 8. We just used Hotel. We just used India. Juliet is the closest word that we have not used. Golf minus Foxtrot is going to be 7 minus 6, which is going to be Alpha. Now, here's where things get a bit interesting. So from Alpha, if we were to go left 1, 2, 3, 4, we've used Whiskey. 5 times the Victor. We can obviously tell that we're going to be having to go more, 5 times to the right, more than 5 times to the right, in order to get to the next unused letter, which is going to be actually Kilo. So in this case, we're going to put a Victor here. Okay? And then next up, we have 8 minus 6, Hotel minus the Foxtrot. In this case, giving us 2. Now, to go to the right, we would need to get to Kilo, which is a distance of 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to Uniform. 7 to Uniform, 9 to Kilo. In this case, Uniform is going to be our next letter here. And now we're down to the last row before we have to use the last one here. So in this case, 10 minus 9, India minus Juliet, is going to be equal to 1. I can already tell that it actually is not going to be that close. Hold on. Because we've already used Sierra and Tango and Uniform, let's see where our next available letter would be able to use here. The next available letter, actually, for going left, would be November. Wow, quite a far ways away. So if we were to go from Alpha, because we landed on 1 from the Juliet minus India, if we were to go left to the next unused letter, which in this case November, we would have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. In this case, you can use the select column right down here. That tells you how many you're selecting currently within that row. And in this case, it's going to be 13 to the left. However, let's take a look at what it is to the right. So the next unused letter to the right would end up being Kilo, and in this case, it is a distance of 10. So therefore, this one is closer. Next up, we've got 22 minus 10, which is going to be 12. Lima has not been used, so we can use Lima here. And now it's going to be coming down to Mike and November. Mike and November are the last two letters that we have not used in this time. So let's see what we get here. So we've got a 22 minus a 21, interestingly, is going to be equal to 1. Now it's going to come down to these last two. From Alpha, right to Mike would be a 12. And left to November would be a 13. So Mike is our winner here. Let's place a hash here and a hash here as the instructions tell us. And let's place a November down at the last position. Because the remaining letter will be referred to as the unused letter. Place the hashes in the cells in the second last row, and then the unused letter at the bottom, in this case, November. So, we're done with the first step. That's all we simply need to do, and we're setting up the key for us later on. I'm going to put this up for right now for a little bit. I'm going to keep the alphabet around for us, because now we're going to get into step 1 of actually decrypting this stuff. So, we're going to be doing the Caesarean roll switching cipher. And I'm actually going to type out our encrypted letter here. So it's A, Alpha Sierra Mike, Hotel Echo Papa, Hotel Golf Hotel. Okay. Asim Hep HGH. So now, to decrypt this step, consider the number of steps forward in the alphabet to get from the first letter in the key letter, to the key letter. So in this case, the first letter is referring to the top display here. And to get to the key letter in this case is going to be the Sierra. So we're trying to get to Sierra from Alpha. Now, what exactly do we do with this information? We're going to apply this shift to the key letter, and the obtained letter will be the first decrypted letter. So what's going to happen here is we're going to consider the shifting from Alpha to Sierra, and then we're going to apply the shift from Alpha to Sierra. We're going to get that amount, and we're going to actually apply that to Sierra by itself. So the difference between Alpha and Sierra in this case is going to be 1 plus 18. It's a forward shift of 18, which would give us to 19, which is the Sierra. Now we're going to add 18 to the Sierra, and we're going to get 37, which is modulo 26, is going to give us a total of 11, or simply kilo. That's going to be our next word here. We're not going to consider this part anymore, because now what's going to happen here is then apply the same process with the next encrypted letter and the latest decrypted letter as the first letter and key letter respectively. So essentially what's going to happen here now is we're now going to use Sierra. We're going to calculate the distance from key to kilo, and we're going to apply that same thing as well. So in this case, Sierra going to kilo. And now it doesn't necessarily need to be forward. You just need to make sure that you apply the exact same shift to each of these letters in the exact same direction. Keep that in mind. So in this case, we would make it simple for us. In this case, kilo is at 11, and Sierra is at 19. So 19 minus 8 would get us to 11. So in this case, 19, I can type it on my calculator here. 19 minus 8 is going to be equal to 11. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the minus 8 again, which is going to give us a 3, or Charlie. Next up, we've got the 25, which is Yankee here. The distance to get to Charlie is going to be adding 4, because 25 plus 4 modulo this by 26, modulo by 26, please, is going to get us to Charlie. Now we're simply going to add 4 to this again, getting us golf. I'd say that this is probably the most vital. This probably is the most vital step, because this actually is going to help you determine whether you have a real word or not. And it also is very important because each of these letters affects one another. That's what makes this so important. So now we're going to go from Mike to golf, which is simply just going back 6. I'm doing this in my head. So we can actually use the alphabet string here as well, going back 6. So going from golf back 6 would take us to an alpha. Hotel going back to alpha would take us minus 7. Alpha back 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would take us to tango. Echo to tango, or tango to echo, echo to tango would take us, where? Let's go here. We take us forward 15, then we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we do 9 forward here, because 6 plus 9 is equal to 15, and in this case, that lands us on India. And then finally, next up we're going to go Papa to India. Papa back to India would be going left 7. So let's go left 7 from India to Bravo. Hotel to Bravo would be going left 6 here. Bravo left 6 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to Victor. Golf going to Victor. Golf going to Victor would be going right 15. So go right 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So kilo. And then finally, hotel to kilo would be +3. Kilo plus 3 is going to be equal to November. And that is what we're going to do with this bit. So that's step 1 taken care of. And that's probably, in my opinion, the easy step to mess up on. It's kind of weird how it does it. Just make sure that you understand how that works. Now we're going to get into the fun part of this. So step 2 is going to be the rotational monoalphabetic substitution cipher. And make a copy of the key triangle. And what we're going to essentially do here is potentially rotate this guy, which we actually are going to rotate it where it happens. So if the key digit and the alphabetic position of the key letter share a parity, so in this case, if these two guys share a parity, the Sierra and the 2, or the Sierra and the 2, if they share a parity, and what parity means is if they're both even or both odd, then we're going to rotate the triangle clockwise, 120. Otherwise, if the keys do not share parity, we're going to rotate it counterclockwise. So in this case, 19, which is the alphabetic position of Sierra, and 2 do not share a parity because there's one even and one odd. They do not share a parity. So we're going to be rotating this triangle counterclockwise. So in this case, let's do that. Now, the way that we can do this very easily is we can think about rotating it counterclockwise, and remember we want to face it. Remember we want to face this triangle being down. So we know that Sierra is going to be going counterclockwise down into the down position here, into the southwest position. And we can know that for a fact, the November is going to be going up to the top right position. So what we can do here is we can go from top right to down all the way down to the bottom, and we can kind of just go column by column, sort of. And that's the way that we can rearrange this. So for our first row, it's going to be Delta Zulu Hotel, Uniform Mike, hashtag November. Then then Echo Tango Foxtrot Victor Lima hashtag. And as you can kind of see, we're just going to kind of move down the columns, and you can do the exact same thing with going clockwise. It's just going to be done a bit differently. It's instead going to go from here, it's going to go from the November, and it's going to go up to the top left. That's kind of the way that this works. I hope that this makes sense. Yes, I did that correctly. Yep. Okay, so let's continue on. So we have a Yankee, X-Ray, Golf, Juliet Kilo for the next row. We've got Alpha Quebec Oscar India. We've got Romeo Bravo Whiskey, and we've got Papa Charlie, and we finally have Sierra. Now with this information, we're going to find the encrypted letter in the original key triangle. So in this case, the first one that we had. So in this case, right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the same position in the rotated triangle. And if a hash is reached, we're going to temporarily rotate the new triangle in the same direction 120 degrees. So in this case, we're just simply going to rotate it to the last position that has not been reached yet. And that position for that specific letter is going to be our new encrypted letter. Hope that makes sense. We'll get into that if we happen to run into it, but it's essentially you rotate it one more time for that specific letter, only that specific letter. So we've got Kilo, which in this case, Kilo is right over here. So now let's go down to this exact same position. It gives us a Romeo. Charlie is right here. That gives us an Echo in the same position. Golf is going to be basically dead center, which it actually doesn't move. So Golf is right there. Yep, that's the only one that doesn't move, I believe. Yeah. Next up, we've got Alpha. Alpha is a sort of Delta 1-ish. That's going to be a uniform. Tango is going to be a right here. So we're going to get a Lima from this. And it's looking pretty promising. It looks like we're definitely getting a word here. It looks like it might be regulatory or something like that. India is right here. And that's going to be in the dead center right over here. So that's going to be an Alpha. Yep. It might be regulatory for all I know. Bravo is going to be right here. It is a Tango. Yep. Victor is right here. That's going to correspond to the Alpha, to the Oscar here. Kilo is right here, so that's going to correspond to Romeo. And November, being up in the down in the bottom here, regulators is going to be Sierra. So regulators is our word. This is indeed a word that exists. So therefore, we know for a fact that we have decrypted a word. Now, for step 3, it's simply inputting it into the module. And what's going to happen here is we have this triangle here that is similar to the triangle on our module here. And clicking a button will reveal 3 sub-buttons within the button until 2 layers of buttons have been revealed. And the buttons will not input letters. The diagram on the right shows the positions of the position of the letters on the module, with the backwards character in the bottom left being the delete key. Upon striking or deleting all inputted characters, the module will go back to the displaying the encrypted word and the keyword. So in this case, all we simply need to do is we simply need to find Romeo, hit this triangle. It will split up into 3 little bits here, as you can see. And then we do this one more time. We find Romeo. This is going to be the top bit here. And in this case, as you can see, it's starting to input the letters here. It's a fairly simple submission. So we go now bottom left, bottom right, top. Then we go for golf. We go bottom left, top, bottom left. Uniform, we go bottom right, bottom left, top. Then we go top, top, bottom left. Then we go bottom left, top. Then we go bottom right, top, bottom left. Then we go for Oscar, top, bottom right, top. Bottom right, top, top, bottom right, bottom, top, and then finally bottom right. And then we hit this guy, submit. And just like that is a solved module. Hope that makes sense to you guys. Let's go into one more example, and I'm going to do this significantly faster, except for the step 1, because that's probably the one that pisses me off the most. So, and by piss off, I mean I'm an idiot. But anyways, it's a fairly simple mod to do, and it's not too hard to understand. It's just definitely the first and seconds, the setting up the key and doing the Caesarean rule switching cipher is the long part of this mod. That's what makes this mod so tricky, because it's very particular. So, otherwise, fairly simple mod to do and understand. It's not too hard to do. It's kind of surprising how this has not had a tutorial for so long. I'll be 100% honest with you. And also, shoutouts to the Distance Cipher link. It's a feature, just linking to itself. So, but let's get into one more example. And this is going to be a better example for step 1. So we've got India, Mike, Alpha, Golf. But then we immediately run into the case of an India being a duplicate letter again. So actually, I'm going to Control Z real quick. I'm going to copy our alphabet here, or I'm actually just going to bring it back. India, Mike, Alpha, Golf. Now, we run into a case where we immediately hit a duplicate letter. So in this case, it's not going to be India. And if we take a look for right now, the letter, there is a tie between Hotel and Juliet. They both have a distance of 1, but this is where this rule comes into place. Take the unused letter that would be reached by going backwards in the alphabet. So in this case, Hotel. Then next up, we've got November. November is not used. Golf has been used, so golf is going to run into this issue. However, this one is nice and simple. We have used Hotel. We have not used Foxtrot. So therefore, Foxtrot is going to be the next letter for that one. And now we do the differences of each letters above. So we've got 13 minus 9 is going to give me Delta. 13 minus 1 is going to be 12, which is a Lima. 7 minus 1 is going to be a 6, which is going to be a Foxtrot. Now, Echo has not been used, and Golf has, so Echo is going to be our winner here. Golf and Hotel is 8 minus 7, which is going to be a 1. Neither Bravo nor Zulu have neither Bravo nor Zulu have been used, so Zulu is going to be our winner because it is going backwards in the alphabet. 14 minus 8 is going to be a total of 6. In this case, Foxtrot. We have used Echo. We have used Golf. We have used Hotel. We have used Delta. We have not used Charlie. Charlie is our winner because it's going back in the alphabet, so therefore that's going to be the guy. 14 minus 6 is going to be an 8. That lands on Hotel. We have used Golf. We have used India. We have used Foxtrot. We have not used Juliet. Juliet's going to be our next letter. Continuing on. Delta minus Lima, so 12 minus 4 is going to be an 8. We ran on Hotel again. So Hotel is going to be right here. We just used India and Juliet. We used Foxtrot and Golf. We have used Echo. We have not used Kilo, though. So Kilo is going to be our next letter here. Next up, Lima minus Echo. 12 minus 5 is going to be a 7. We land on a Golf. Now, taking a look, the Lima has been used. So we have quite a distance away. We also have Mike used. So it's very likely going to be left. And it is actually going to be left because if we take a look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to Bravo. We land on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to Lima. So in this case, Bravo is going to be it because we've already used Lima beforehand. Next up, we've got our Zulu here. 26 minus 5 is going to be 21, which is a uniform. Uniform has not been used yet. 26 minus 3 is going to be a whiskey. Whiskey has not been used yet. 10 minus the 3 is going to be a 7, which is going to land on golf. Golf, we're going to run into an issue here. So the next unused letter in the left direction would be Yankee, because we've already used A, B, C, D, and E and F. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can we have something that is going to the right 8 times by the time we land on golf? So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In this case, November has actually been used. So in this case, we would go right one more time to Oscar. Now, we run into an issue where this is a tie. So in this case, we're going to be using Yankee, which is going backwards in the alphabet. So 11 minus 2 is going to land on an India. India, we have used. The one that is closest to us is going to be an Oscar. Very clearly going to be an Oscar. You can kind of eyeball it most of the time, kind of once you get used to it, trust me. So 21 minus 2 is going to be 19. That's going to be a Sierra. Sierra has not been used. We're good to go. 23 minus 21 is going to be a Bravo. We have not used Bravo. We have used Bravo, excuse me. So the closest unused letter would be an X-ray. It's very easy to tell that. You only have to go left 4 times compared to however many times you have to go right. The next up, Whiskey and Yankee is a difference of 1. No, excuse me, a difference of 2, but still, that's pretty far away from anything else, so it's going to be Victor. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is a difference of 6 compared to something probably like 10. Oscar and Sierra. We have 19 minus 15. That's going to give us a 4. Delta. Now, the closest unused letter from the right is going to end up probably being Papa. Should actually be Papa. So if we were to go from Delta to Papa, that would give us a total of 12. And we were to go left, the closest unused letter from here would be the Tango. So Tango. So from Delta, we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And Delta, it was 12 to get to Papa. So in this case, Tango is going to be our letter here. We have 24 minus 19 is going to be an Echo. Echo is going to be from here. We have used Uniform, we have used Victor, we have got to use Whiskey. Okay, good. I'm just making sure. So from here, from Echo, the next unused one would be corresponding to Papa, because we have not used Papa yet. And the left would be corresponding to Romeo, and we've got Papa, Quebec, Romeo. So in this case, these are the last 3 that we are going to be using here. So from Echo, it would take us right 11 times to get to Papa, and from left, it would take us 1, 2, 3, 4, and it would take us 13 times. So in this case, our closest one is going to actually be Papa here. X-Ray and Victor. X-Ray and Victor is going to be 24 minus 22, which is going to be 2. This one is definitely going to be closer to a Romeo, because if we do Bravo to a Quebec, that's easily going to be 13. It's more than half of the alphabet. So in this case, we know for a fact that Romeo, just to make sure it has not been used, is going to be our last position. Hashtag, and finally, Quebec. All right, so we're done with the first bit here. Now let's get on to this annoying little bit, in my opinion. And we have the step 1, so to decrypt. The Caesarian roll switching cipher, we've got Delta, Charlie, Victor, Golf, Hotel, Mike, Oscar, Whiskey, Mo, and we have the alpha. And I'd like to just write this out and just make it easy for myself. VG8, okay. One appears to be a shorter word. That's quite nice. So from Delta to get to alpha would be left 3. So let's go left 3 from there. That would give me X-ray. Okay, we don't care about the alpha anymore. From Charlie to X-ray, so to get to Charlie to X-ray is going to be left 5. So let's go left 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lands on Sierra. Victor to Sierra. Victor to Sierra would be left 3. So let's go left 3 from the Sierra to get me Papa. Golf to get me to Papa would be right 9 times. So right 9 times from Papa would get me Yankee. And that makes sense. Yes. Okay, Hotel to Yankee. Left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's go 9 left from Yankee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Give me back to Papa. Then Mike to Papa. is going to be right 3. So let's go right 3 to get me to Sierra. Oscar to Sierra, right 4. Let's go right 4 from the Sierra to get me whiskey. And whiskey to whiskey is going to be whiskey. So there we go. Alrighty, so that's that step taken care of. And that does mean that does imply that we're going to have duplicate letters at the end, I believe. So let's take a look now. Do these guys share a parity? If I can get this thing figured out. And we don't necessarily need to make a copy of this. So does the key letter and the key number share a parity with each other? And in this case, no, they do not. Alpha is odd, 4 is even. So in this case, they do not share parity. We're going to rotate it counterclockwise again. So in this case, Foxtrot, Juliet, Yankee, Victor, Romeo, hash, Quebec, November, Charlie, Whiskey, X-Ray, Papa, hash. Let me space this out correctly. Let's also line it up here too. Okay. Next up, we've got Hotel, Zulu, Uniform, Sierra, Tango. We have Golf, Echo, Bravo, Oscar. We've got Alpha, Lima, Kilo. We've got a Mike and a Delta. And we have, finally, lastly, an India. Okay. So now let's find the positions that match. X-Ray is going to land on Bravo. Let's zoom out a little bit. Actually, this is perfect. Yep. X-Ray going to land on Bravo. Sierra is going to be one left. That's going to be an Echo. Papa is going to land on Lima. We know for a fact that the Limas are going to be sharing. The Papas are going to be sharing, and the Sierras are going to be sharing. So in this case, Lima, and there's going to be an Echo here. Now, what is Yankee? Yankee is currently right over here. That lands on a Tango. Maybe Beltless. Whiskey is going to land on a Sierra. Yes. As you can see, Whiskey and Sierra are in the exact same position. In this case, both of these are going to be Sierras. And just like that, we have our word beltless. So let's take a look. Let's submit our answer here. So it's going to be bottom left, bottom right, bottom left, bottom right, top. Lima is going to be top, bottom left, bottom right, top, bottom left, top, bottom left, bottom left, bottom right, top, bottom right, top, bottom right, bottom right, top, bottom right. Beltless is our word. Just like that is a solved module. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.